Hello aspirants and welcome again to Legacy IAS Academy. In this lecture, we will be discussing about the obtaining of the OBC certificate for a child from their mother. So is that possible? Can that happen? What is the present scenario right now and why isn't this news and what is the case all about is what we will see. So let's get started with respect to what the case is all about. So there is a petitioner. A petitioner here is a single mother. That means the child only has a mother and there is no father. So this single mother who is having OBC status. So presently this mother, she has an OBC status. She is a single mother. Now she is the petitioner over here. And what plea does she have? She wants that the child, her child specifically of course, but of course when a decision is made it is implemented for in general for example, but here in this case she wants that her child should inherit the OBC status from her, that is from the mother, and not that from the father is what is being plead over here. So what is the issue? Why has this become an issue? This has become an issue because presently that is not the case. So what is the case as of now? As of now, the OBC certification is done with respect to the father's side only and mother's side is not given a consideration. So basically this OBC certification is patrilinear in nature. Patrilinear means from the father's side, and what the petitioner here wants to make it matrilinear, that means it should be from the mother's side. So what the demand is? The demand is to change the guidelines of course so that maternal caste is taken into consideration, specifically when it comes to the single mother families. So in fact the claim is not being made as such to completely remove the patrilinear nature and put it to matrilinear nature alone, but what is being said is that there are certain families which are single mother family, wherein it's the mother who is taking care of the child in complete manner whatsoever and there is no existence of the father. In such a family at least there needs to be matrilineal consideration with respect to the transfer of the caste reservation or caste certification in this matter. Now, what are the legal and constitutional issues that have been raised because of this case? So it raises few questions or few issues. First things first, the violations. Violations of what? Violation of first Article 14. Article 14 is right to equality, which talks about every Indian being completely equal and there should be no negative discrimination that needs to be done. But here if you see, if you are taking consideration of patrilineal caste certification instead of matrilineal, here it is claimed that this is discrimination based on the sex or the gender of the person, wherein it is biased in favor of males and biased against the females. In addition to this, Article 21, that is right to life and personal liberty. The right to life and personal liberty is also being hampered over here. Now, what is the challenge in this case all about? The challenge is with respect to the patriarchal nature of caste identification norms that exist. Patriarchal nature means the identification of the caste is done from the patrilinear side, that is from the father's side and not the mother's side. So that is the issue or that is the concept patriarchal norm that is being challenged. Now, what is the key question in front of the court? The key question is, it's not with respect to whether, it should be patrilinear or matrilinear, etc. The question is, even if it is patrilinear, for example, can in certain situations we can consider the matrilinear side also. So the key question is, can caste identity be matrilineal in specific situations? One such specific situation is the situation of being a single mother, right? So this is the present key question in front of the judiciary. Now, what are the reference cases or the precedents that we have seen in this kind of a scenario. So if you talk about the intercaste child's eligibility with respect to SC/ST benefits, there have been certain key observations previously in Ramesh Bhai Dada Bhai Naika 2012 case. So in this, Supreme Court made certain observations. The very first about presumption. The child inherits father's caste. So that was kind of a thing which came out. So child is inheriting the father's caste. Not absolute. However, this particular thing is not absolute in nature, and it can be rebuted, means can be retaliated against, or let's say can be in conflict or can be objected to if one can show upbringing, community integration. Now what is this concept of upbringing and community integration? So it is not just inherently you're taking it from the father, it also depends upon the upbringing and the community integration, wherein you in practicality did face the discrimination with respect to getting integrated in the society or not. That is also taken into consideration. What is the implication of this? Basically, because of this observation of the Supreme Court, now the caste identity can depend not just on inherently getting it from the father, but from the lived experience of the person and not just the descent from the father. So that here adds the practicality in the decision making with respect to the certification of caste. So it is not necessarily just because you are a son of a particular person of a father who belongs to a particular caste, but with respect to what discrimination you have faced, what kind of a life that you have lived, whether it was full of discrimination or not, all those consideration can be taken into picture, and the decision, this particular thing of inheritance of caste certification can be rebuted also. Next, the High Court precedents. So there are two High Court precedents, one with respect to the Delhi High Court, the other is that of Assam. So Rumi Chaudhary versus government of the new NCT Delhi in 2019. Here the petitioner, basically the SC single mother, scheduled caste single mother. Now in this case the children were denied SC certification. So in this case there was a denial of the certification. So what was the High Court verdict over here? The High Court verdict was that it rejected the plea. Why? Because it cited lack of deprivation and disadvantage. So it is not that previously the Supreme Court or the High Court for that matter, so judiciary in general have not tried to pay heed. They have, and on case by case basis they have given a decision. If probably there would have been presence of a huge amount of deprivation and disadvantage, the certification would have been provided. Here it was denied not on account of the person who was the petitioner was the mother, but on account of lack of deprivation and disadvantage. Now once that was done, then the appeal was made in 2020 with respect to the same case, and then the High Court bench, it talked about caste certificate to child requires proof of socio-economic disadvantage. So in this case there needs to be a proof of socio-economic disadvantage. So sort of whatever the decision was made in the appeal also, it was upheld. What was the rationale? The rationale was to protect reservation benefits for the truly disadvantaged people, because the percentage reservation remains the same. It is not lowering the percentage. So instead of having someone who is going to get added without any disadvantage faced, and also there is just a single mother and no patrilineal descent of the caste, then in that case the court has said that there needs to be evidence of discrimination or disadvantage. If we look at the High Court of the state of Assam, in this the junior officer who inherited OBC status from mother. So in this case the junior officer did inherit the OBC status from mother. So the case that we are talking about does find references previously also wherein such considerations were made. Sometimes the certification denied, but sometimes the certification provided as well. So the court's view was that caste identity must reflect lived reality and upbringing, not just bloodline of father status. So here it was not the father status but the mother, and still the certification was given because of the lived reality that was seen. So what is the broader issue for policy and governance over here? The broader issue is, to an extent there needs to be uniformity, in the sense that every time a single mother may not be required to come and petition in front of the court. So there needs to be some sort of uniform guidelines on caste certification with respect to intercaste family, specifically intercaste. Right, so intercaste, because the father might be of an upper caste, the mother might be from a lower caste, so of course the caste benefit would be lost, but then when the mother is left as a single mother, in that case again petitions will be filed. So in intercaste marriages kind of a thing, you have to have uniform guidelines mentioned. So and this will ensure that reservation reaches the right beneficiaries. It will balance constitutional rights with practical disadvantages that are being faced by socio-economically backward sections of the society, and also it is going to question the patriarchal norms. It can be a more liberal way ahead. Thank you.